Thank you for existing, don't come. That was the message Nathan received from his father on Christmas Eve. No context, no warmth. Just six cold detached words, a final stamp of rejection. He was sitting cross-legged on the floor of his small bedroom, staring blankly at the screen, hoping time might somehow dull the blow, might make the words less cruel. Meanwhile, back home, his parents and sister were likely gathered around the dinner table, smiling, laughing, basking in that illusion of a perfect family. And Nathan, once again the outsider. For over a year and a half, he had quietly carried the weight of two lives, his own and his sister's, paying rent, covering groceries, picking up every bill without a word. His sister Elise had claimed she'd lost her job, said she just needed time to figure things out. And Nathan gave it to her. Because that's what family's supposed to do. Right? That evening, just before she left for Christmas dinner with their parents, Elise tossed her coat over one shoulder, adjusted a curl in the mirror, and paused at the doorway. "Oh, in case they ask," she said casually, not meeting his eyes. "I told them you're just crashing on the floor. You know, since your name's not on the lease." She didn't say it like a joke. She said it like a line rehearsed. Nathan looked up from the sink where his hands were still submerged in warm, soapy water. "You told them that," Elise rolled her eyes. "Relax, it's not a big deal. I just didn't want them thinking I'm letting you live here for free. But I'm paying the rent," he replied, quiet but steady. "Yeah, well, they don't need to know that." And with that, she was gone. Nathan didn't call, didn't text, didn't try to justify himself. Instead, he sat alone at the kitchen table, staring at the cheap string lights he'd put up weeks ago, wondering how many more holidays he'd spend funding people who had long decided he didn't belong. At midnight, he stood, walked to the hallway closet, pulled out the toolbox, and changed the locks. No hesitation, no second thoughts, and when he lay back down, the apartment felt different. Lighter, maybe for the first time it felt like his. Cham. The next morning, at 8:17 a.m., he heard the sound of keys fumbling in the lock, click, a muffled curse, click again, then pounding fists. Then silence. Nathan didn't open the door, but he had left something behind. Three neatly wrapped boxes sat outside the door like forgotten presents. One medium-sized, tied with a pristine bow. One small, still, softly vibrating. And one heavier, more deliberate. It had all started with small things. Groceries, rent, student loans. Elise always said she'd pay him back, but she never did. When she lost her job again, he didn't ask questions. He simply worked more hours, sold off old electronics, gave up trips, hobbies, even dating. He told himself it was just a phase. That's what good brothers do after all. Help without asking. But temporary turned into routine. Routine into obligation, and obligation eventually became silence. What do you even say to someone who lets you pay for everything, then tells your parents you're freeloading? He should have seen it coming, the betrayal. Elise had always been gifted with words. As a child, she cried her way out of trouble. As an adult, she cried her way into wallets. To their parents, she was the creative spirit, a bit messy but full of heart. Nathan, he was the cold one, the serious one, the one who always made things difficult. But the truth was simpler. Cold is what you become when love is only offered on conditions. He had stopped attending family dinners months ago, not because he didn't care, but because he simply couldn't pretend anymore. Then 3 weeks before Christmas, something in him fractured. He had just finished a grueling 12-hour shift, picked up dinner for the both of them, and laid it neatly on the table. Elise didn't even look up from her phone. "Can you send me a bison for dinner?" she said, half distracted. Nathan blinked. "You mean the dinner I just bought?" "Well, you haven't paid rent in 3 months, she said flatly. "You've been asking me to cover everything all year," he replied. She shrugged, still tapping on her screen. "No one forced you." That was the moment he understood Elise wasn't desperate. She felt entitled because he had allowed it. The final straw. 1 week later, the truth landed in his inbox, a credit card statement filled with transactions he never made. Spa treatments, electronics, a tattoo reservation. The total, $638.72. The account in his name, Elise had stolen his identity. Nathan didn't confront her, not yet. Instead, he watched, documented, tracked everything. She walked around their apartment in brand new boots and an Apple Watch, laughing on FaceTime to her friends. My idiot brother, he's like a bank with no fees. At first, he planned to wait maybe until New Year's. Let it all build, let it rot, until it couldn't be denied anymore. But then came the message from his father. "Thank you for existing. Don't come that night." Elise sipped wine like nothing was wrong. She leaned against the kitchen counter and smirked. You can't expect to be seen as family if you act like a tenant. That was it. Nathan changed the locks and left behind the presents he had once planned to give her in the third box. A printed copy of the credit card statement, screenshots of Elise mocking him in texts, a USB drive filled with audio clips, including one where she laughed and said, "Honestly, he deserves it. He's like free money. Why wouldn't I take advantage?" And finally, his old phone set to vibrate every few seconds with a silent alarm, so she could feel even just for a moment the kind of anxiety and disorientation he had carried for over a year. The confrontation, the banging began loud, persistent, demanding. Nathan walked slowly to the door and opened it, just a crack. There stood Elise. Her makeup was smudged, hair wild and frizzy from the rain, one hand gripping the smallest box he'd left behind, the one still softly vibrating. "What is this?" she shrieked. Nathan tilted his head. A Christmas gift. She tore it open. Her eyes scanned the printed statements, the screenshots, the USB drive. Her fingers paused on the sticky note written in Nathan's calm, looping handwriting. "Your contract has ended emotionally and in every way. You don't have a heart," she spat. Before Nathan could answer, his phone began to ring. It was his father. He picked up, tapped speaker. "Son, what is going on? Your sister told us what you did. That was cruel. What happened to family?" Nathan gave a small, hollow laugh. "You mean the family that told me not to come for Christmas? That wasn't about you," his father snapped. "You told me not to come," Nathan said flatly, "and I listened." Elise grabbed the phone. Her voice was shrill. "He's crazy. He changed the locks. He's harassing me." Nathan took it back calmly. "Dad, do you know who's been opening credit accounts in my name?" There was a pause, which heavy. Without another word, Nathan tapped the Bluetooth speaker next to him. Elise's voice filled the room. "She always feels guilty. I could burn the apartment, and she'd still pay my mobile bill." The color drained from his father's face, the fallout. Minutes later, there was a knock on the door. Nathan opened it to find Veronica standing there stiffly, and behind her, Tomas, Elise's ex-boyfriend. "Esther," Tomas said tightly, not stepping inside, "I just found out someone's been using my name. Hotel bookings online, shopping, and this morning a debt collector called." "It was you," Elise opened her mouth, then closed it. Tomas looked at the evidence laid out on the table, printouts, the speaker, the flash drive still glowing. "I think you should leave," he said. Elise blinked like someone had slapped her. "You're taking his side. I'm done taking the side of liars." For the first time, she had no words, no tears, no manipulations left. Nathan picked up her coat, tossed it to her without ceremony. "Your stuff's in the hallway, right next to the trash. Can you guess which is which?" She said nothing, no screaming, no threats, just the fading sound of her footsteps and the soft ding of the elevator as the doors closed behind her. The day after, the silence in the apartment was different now. Not empty, earned. Nathan stood in the kitchen holding a cup of reheated coffee, watching the steam curl and drift like breath finally released. He waited to feel something. Guilt, regret, sadness. But there was nothing. Only calm. Tomas was still asleep on the couch, wrapped in the blanket Nathan had thrown him the night before. He had barely spoken after Elise left, just nodded, whispered finally, and drifted off. When he woke, he stretched and blinked at the laptop Nathan had left open. "Already working." "I'm getting my money," Nathan replied. Thomas rubbed his face. "What are you going to do?" Nathan turned the screen toward him, eyes resolute. "More than denounce," and that was where the real story began. The reckoning begins. At precisely 8:17 a.m., the sound began. Keys fumbling in the lock. Click. A curse, another click. Then came the pounding fists against the door, followed by a long, heavy silence. Nathan didn't open the door. He didn't need to. He had already left something waiting on the other side. 3 boxes wrapped, carefully placed neatly on the doormat, one medium-sized tied with a flawless silver bow, one smaller still vibrating gently, and the third heavy, dense, intentional. The truth was none of this had started with identity theft. It began with little things, groceries, then rent, then student loans. Elise had promised to pay him back again and again. She never did. When she lost another job, Nathan didn't question it. He picked up extra shifts, sold his laptop, let go of his hobbies, his weekends, his dating life. He convinced himself it was temporary, that helping family was what a good brother should do, but temporary turned into routine. Routine became obligation. Obligation became silence. until the night she told their parents he was just crashing on the floor. As if he were a squatter, not the person paying the rent. She never felt guilty because Nathan had made it easy to take him for granted. The fraud unfolds. Then came the credit card charges totaling $638.72, spa visits, a tattoo deposit, electronics, transactions. Nathan had never made. The account opened in his name. Elise had stolen his identity. He didn't confront her right away. He watched, collected, documented. He recorded her laughing over FaceTime, showing off her new watch. He's like a bank with no fees. Honestly, he deserves it. Nathan had originally planned to wait until New Year's, but then his father's message arrived. 6 words, sharp and emotionless. Thank you for existing. Don't come. That same night he changed the locks and he delivered the boxes. Inside the silver one, a printed copy of the credit card statement, screenshots of Elise mocking him in text threads, a USB stick labeled for dad play, if you still have a spine, and his old phone placed inside set to vibrate at timed intervals, a carefully crafted mirror of his own experience. The anxiety, confusion, and emotional exhaustion he'd endured for over a year, confrontation and collapse. The pounding returned. Nathan opened the door calmly. Elise stood on the other side, her eyeliner-streaked eyes wide, one hand gripping the vibrating box like it might explode. What is this? He looked at her without blinking. A Christmas gift. She tore into it, her eyes scanned the contents, her face twisted. You don't have a heart, she snapped. Nathan said nothing, then his phone buzzed. Caller ID. Dad, he picked up, put the call on speaker. Nathan. What are you doing? Suing your own family. Nathan's voice was quiet. Steady, you told me not to come for Christmas. That wasn't about you. You said, don't come, he interrupted. And I listened. Elise lunged for the phone, her voice sharp and breathless. He's crazy. He changed the locks. He's harassing me. Nathan took the phone back. Dad, do you know who's been using my name to open credit accounts? Silence, then came a weak protest. That's not true, Nathan. Press play on the speaker beside him. Elise's voice crystal clear. I could burn the apartment, and she'd still pay my mobile bill, the fallout. Knock at the door, Nathan opened it. Veronica stood at the threshold, arms crossed, and behind her, Thomas, Elise's former boyfriend. His expression was grim. I just found out someone used my name, Thomas said. Hotel bookings, online orders, and today a debt collector called. It was you. He looked Elise dead in the eyes. She opened her mouth to respond, but no words came. Thomas turned to the table, took in the printed receipts, the flash drive, the speaker still glowing faint red. I think you should go, he said. Elise blinked rapidly as if she had just been struck. You're taking his side, Thomas didn't flinch. I'm done taking the side of liars. And just like that, it was over. No more accusations, no final pleas. Elise left. No tantrum, no slammed door. Just the quiet echo of her footsteps down the hall and the soft mechanical ding of the elevator as it carried her away. Justice in aftermath. Step 1, the complaint. Nathan filed a formal police report for identity theft. The first to respond was Caixa Madrid, the financial firm tied to the fraudulent account. They immediately froze access, launched a fraud investigation, and by Friday afternoon confirmed a full refund of $638.72. For the first time in days, Nathan leaned back in his chair and exhaled. But it wasn't over. Not even close. Step 2. The numbers? He opened the spreadsheet line by line, month by month. Rent, $950. Utilities, $180. Groceries, shared $400. Elise's emergencies, anywhere from $100 to $500. 18 months of carrying them both. The final number blinked back at him, $792. That didn't include skipped meals, missed weekends, or the emotional weight of being everyone's silent provider. Step 3, the lawsuit. Nathan's lawyer plugged in the USB drive. After reviewing its contents, recordings, screenshots, timelines, receipts, he leaned back, stunned. You documented everything. This isn't just theft. This is long-term financial exploitation. They had a case, and not just a case, a strong one. Step 4, the explosion. 3 registered legal letters were sent. One to Elise, one to Veronica, one to Raphael. Within 20 minutes, Nathan's phone rang. His mother, what are you doing? She demanded. After everything we've done for you. Nathan stayed calm. You added me to utility accounts without my permission. That's fraud. It was just paperwork. No, it was theft. Then came the real blow. We raised you, we let you stay. I paid for everything, he replied. I wasn't a guest. I was the provider. An unexpected ally. 3 days later, his grandmother called Nathan, hadn't heard from her in months. Not since Elise had poisoned the well with whispers like, he just wants attention. But now her voice was sharp, steady. I saw the lawsuit, she said, and the bond. Nathan froze. What bond? The one your father cashed out. It was opened in your name when you were a child. He used the money to buy Elise a car. He sat upright. What? Don't worry, she continued. I've blocked what's left and transferred the account back to you, where it should have stayed. Then she added almost gently, I've rewritten my will. The house goes to you. You're the only one who ever asked for nothing and kept the receipts in the courtroom. The courtroom was cold, the air tense. Nathan sat with his lawyer quiet and composed. Elise entered first. No makeup, dull colors, like someone playing the role of regret. Veronica wore black. Raphael never once met Nathan's eyes. Page after page, the lawyer laid out the evidence, bank statements, audio clips, fraudulent signatures, manipulated contracts, and then the question, did you sign your son's name on any financial documents without his consent? A pause, heavy. Yes or no? Silence, then. A faint whisper. Yes. The verdict? 13,000 in damages, cancellation of all shared debts, legal costs covered, formal warnings added to their civil records. The real ending. 2 weeks later, a letter arrived with no return address. Nathan recognized the handwriting instantly. Elise, inside just 2 words. Happy now. Folded inside was a childhood photo. He and Elise under a Christmas tree. Laughing, he was hugging her tightly like she might float away. On the back, Nathan picked up a pen and wrote, you let go first, I burned it second, and then slowly he did. Watched it curl to ash in the kitchen sink. Freedom isn't cruelty. 3 months passed, no calls from his parents, not even a birthday text. And you know what? It was better that way. He no longer had to explain himself. He no longer lived on eggshells, same apartment, same couch, same window. But for the first time, it all felt like his. No tension in the air, no guilt in the walls, just quiet, not emptiness, peace, closure. One afternoon at a gas station, Nathan saw Raphael. The man looked older, worn down. He approached slowly. You look good, he said. Your mother's still angry, says you ruined Christmas. Nathan raised an eyebrow. She started it with, don't come. I listened. Then he added softer now. You fought for Elise, but you never fought for me. Nathan didn't wait for a reply. He got into his car and drove away. And that silence, that was peace. This wasn't revenge. It was freedom. Nathan didn't do any of this to get even. He did it because he was tired of bleeding for people who called it love. While handing him knives, Elise had survived by twisting truth because he'd always absorbed the damage until he didn't. The system didn't collapse because he broke it. It collapsed because he walked away. 2 weeks ago, a package arrived. No sender. Inside was a photograph Nathan with a little girl, Noah, Elise's daughter. She was 4, sitting on his shoulders, laughing with her hands squishing his cheeks on the back in shaky handwriting. I'm sorry for how my friend treated you. Thanks for everything, Noah. Nathan stared at the note until the words blurred. Not from pain, from the strange comfort of finally being seen. He keeps that photo now tucked in a drawer, not as a reminder of what he lost, but of what he finally reclaimed himself. Because walking away doesn't mean you stop loving. It means you finally started loving yourself more. That's not revenge. That's freedom.